Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the J. Stevens Podcast. This is episode number 239, dedicated to a man who on March 31st, 1984, became the first player in NHL history to record 7 straight 50-goal seasons. Mr. Mike Bossy. And as always, thank you for listening and downloading another episode of the podcast. On today's episode, we'll talk a little bit about what happened between Chris Rock and Will Smith in the Oscars, and there's a little shuffling going on in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers front office. But first, for the very first time in NCAA Tournament history, North Carolina and Duke will face off in the Final Four. Coach K's farewell tour. Hubert Davis's first year coaching. The first year Roy Williams has not been on the sidelines since he became head coach at North Carolina. John Shire is coach in waiting at Duke. Numerous one-and-done players. The youngest Coach K coached team at Duke that he's ever had. Hubert Davis, his boys, many people were putting Hubert Davis under the fire and criticizing him for his first year as head coach in North Carolina. And these boys seem to be clicking at the right time. And we get these teams. Clearly the best rivalry in college basketball. One of the best rivalries in all of college sports, battling it out in the Final Four. And this is what we love about college basketball. And this is something that I am really surprised has not happened before. These two teams, two blue bloods, no matter your definition of a blue blood in college basketball, you're going to have North Carolina and Duke in that conversation. Duke, phenomenal. Great under Coach K. North Carolina, great, phenomenal. Had different coaches over the time period that Coach K has been there. But no matter who the coaches is, well, there was a little period, early 2000s, before Roy Williams got there, that things weren't too hot. But no matter what it is, you're going to go to North Carolina and believe one thing, you're going to have a shot to win a national championship. And number two, if you're good enough, you're going to have a chance to play in the National Basketball Association. I love this for college basketball. I am going to be watching this game on Saturday with some popcorn or something on my couch. Probably not popcorn, a little game time snack. I don't know what I'll be eating, but I'll be sitting down, eating, relaxing, enjoying the game. Probably a little more hyped up than normal because the Tar Heels are my team. I don't follow them as closely as I used to, but in the tournament, when they're on TV, my eyes are glued to the television. It is still startling to me. I said it before. I'll say it again. This is the first time these two teams have met in the Final Four. They were in the same Final Four previously, but they did not meet and play each other in that Final Four. It was in 1991. The Final Four was in Indianapolis, Indiana that year. The teams, the participants that played in that Final Four, Duke, UNLV, North Carolina, and Kansas. Duke beat UNLV in the national semifinal 79-77. North Carolina lost to Kansas in the national semifinal 79-73. Duke went on to beat Kansas in the Natty to win that national championship that year 72-65. And I went back and looked at a few players that were on the rosters of Duke and North Carolina. And I do think you'll be like, oh, wow, these teams were loaded, not just with elite college basketball talent. They were loaded with NBA talent. On the Duke roster in the 1990-1991 season, Antonio Lang, Brian Davis, Grant Hill, all these guys went to the league, Bobby Hurley, and then also Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner averaged 19.8 points a game and then 8.7 rebounds. North Carolina had more pros, and this team was loaded with talent. Going to go from the bottom, work my way up as far as production, stat-wise on this squad. Matt Winstrom went to the league. Kevin Salvadori, Derek Phelps. These first three names I don't remember, don't recognize. Either do I recognize Clifford Rozier, but Eric Montross, I remember him. Pete Chilcutt, foreign language to me. George Lynch, Hubert Davis, the now North Carolina head coach, was on that squad in 91. And then ultimately Rick Fox led the Tar Heels in scoring at 16.9 points per game, added in 6.6 rebounds and 3.7 assists per game as well. I hope you're ready for this Final Four. I believe we have two good matchups we're going to watch on Saturday. Kansas and Villanova, Bill Self, Jay Wright, North Carolina and Duke. The brands speak for themselves. You add in Coach K, this could be Coach K's final game. North Carolina beat Coach K and Duke in the final regular season game between these two teams. The rubber match is coming up, and it's going to be on Saturday. And I will be so happy to come back on here next week and to gloat, smile, laugh, have a big old cheesy grin on my face as North Carolina beats Duke. And if that happens, look, y'all gonna want to check out next week's show because I'm gonna be laughing and I'm gonna have all these jokes to get off because I would love nothing more than for Coach K to lose his final game coaching at Duke and it to be a loss that comes by way of North Carolina as they move on to play in the national championship. Let's go ahead and take a trip to the stage at the Oscars because Chris Rock and Will Smith gave us the comedy and entertainment we didn't even know we needed on Sunday night. Many of you may be people that watch award shows, Academy Awards, the Oscars, the ESPYs, those types of award shows, country music, BET Awards. You might be somebody that watches numerous award shows. So you might have been somebody that was locked in, glued in, ready to go when the Oscars started on Sunday night. There are many of you that are more like me that don't care to watch any award show. Don't care at all. Don't matter if it's the ESPYs, matter if it's the BET Awards, country music, don't matter. You don't care to watch them. You don't care to do anything with them. You don't care. And so when I heard the Oscars were going to be on, first, I didn't know that the Oscars were going to be Sunday night. And then second, my buddy Garrett Grandy, who's come on the podcast numerous times, he ended up asking me, he's like, hey, are you going to watch the Oscars? I said, no, man, I don't watch award shows. I just don't care. They're not my thing. Sunday night, I had plans, hung out a little bit, had a good time. And then when I got home, I got on my phone. And I got on my phone and started looking at the Twitter, the Bird app, as they call it. And I wanted to see what did I miss because when I was away, my phone was on Do Not Disturb. My Apple Watch was on Do Not Disturb. I didn't want any distractions as I was just out enjoying time away outside of my apartment. And so I look on the Twitter, and you guys that are on the Bird app, you guys do a phenomenal job of instantly letting people know what's going on in the world. And I see all these clips. Chris Rock did what? Will Smith did what? Chris Rock told a joke, and then Will Smith laughed. He looked at Jada. He said, oh, no. Chris, you ain't about to embarrass me on live television. And then he went up and said, bam. When I saw Will Smith smack, I mean, if you didn't hear about it, Chris Rock made a joke, a G.I. Jane joke, and the actress that was in G.I. Jane, I never saw the movie at all, so I didn't even get the joke when he first said it. I didn't even know that Jada Pinkett Smith had a little medical condition where her hair is falling out, which is where this joke is coming from. So Chris Rock tells a joke about Jada Pinkett, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. Went over my head, didn't know what it was. Jada knew exactly what was going on, knew about the joke. Will Smith himself laughed. Well, she knew what the joke was talking about, was referencing. Will Smith laughed when he first heard the joke. Said, oh, that's funny. He started laughing. The next thing you know, Jada looks at Will Smith, and Will Smith said, oh, no, buddy. You ain't about to embarrass me. You ain't about to embarrass me on national television when everybody's watching. The Oscars, the ratings have dipped, and they're really, really low right now. So this may have been a ploy. Some thought that, hey, this is what the Oscars wanted to happen to get people to watch more again. This was more of a scripted thing. Didn't seem scripted. And I can tell you, no matter what you saw on the Twitter, I could look at Chris Rock's reaction and you can simply see he was not ready for this to happen. He was not expecting this at all. Will Smith looked at Jada. He got up. He literally got up in the middle of Chris Rock talking, walked to stage and pop, smacked that boy on his face. And the way that it sounded, it sure seemed like Chris Rock and Will Smith staged this because the sound was crisp. It was clear. It was loud. Came through my speakers in my car, the Bluetooth as my phone was hooked up there. I said, hey, man, this ain't normal. This ain't normal at all. And then the way I know it wasn't scripted, in the way that this reminds me of sports in numerous ways, Chris Rock got smacked. You know how it is. You're in the hood or you're at school. You see a fight and then somebody gets hit and they weren't expecting it. And they immediately kind of get that stance like, hey, man, are we really about to do this? And they start to get in that fight stance. Chris Rock took a step back, planted his left foot. His hands got ready like he was about to swing on Will Smith. And he realized quickly, I can't do this. This can't happen right now. No, 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 no. If I want to get smacked, I'll be the bigger person right now. I will make this stand and I will keep this show moving along. I got people in my ear. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't give in to what he's doing to you. Don't give in. And I would have been here sitting like, hey, Chris, you want to help the ratings with the Oscars? The Roscars. Do you want to help the ratings with the Oscars? Go after him. Light him up. Either physically with a physical altercation or get these jokes off. As Chris Rock kind of got his stance and then realized where he was quickly, Will Smith went back to his seat and then says, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. Said it loud. Chris Rock comes back and says, wow, dude, it was a G.I. Jane joke. Will Smith once again repeats, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. And Chris Rock, he said, all right. He said, oh, I could have, all right. And when he said, oh, I could have, all right, I knew in that moment, Chris Rock was ready to get these jokes off. He was ready to light Will Smith up. Chris Rock had the mic. He's lucky. Will Smith is lucky that he was close enough to Chris Rock, and there's microphones throughout the arena that they were in that could pick up Will Smith's voice. And I know for a fact, there are times in sports where there are times, you remember the old show, segment on Monday Night Countdown that was called Jacked Up, that they don't show anymore because, you don't want to promote too many hard hits in football, the National Football League. So they took away that little segment, Jacked Up, on Monday Night Countdown before the Monday Night Football game. You had guys like Brian Dawkins, John Lynch, Lawrence Taylor from long ago. Ed Reed was a big hitter. I remember Bob Sanders literally blew up Cedric Benson in the Super Bowl when the Colts won Peyton Manning's first Super Bowl, I believe down in Miami, Florida. That segment, Jacked Up, was exactly what ran through my mind when I was thinking about and watching and looking at what took place between Chris Rock and Will Smith. Because Chris got rocked. You can't sugarcoat it. You can't change it. You can't do anything about it. Chris got rocked. He didn't want to get rocked. He didn't think it was going to happen. But ultimately, that's what happened. And I absolutely love the aftermath. I love the memes that have come from this. I love exactly what it is that people have done with videos, TikTok videos, stuff on the Twitter, stuff on the Instagram. I love it. Why? Because it's humor. Life is so tense. Too tense at times. Not tense for everybody, but there are times that life can be tense. There are times that life throws a curveball at you. There are times that life gives you a little look and those things your way that you're just not ready for, and you need a little comedic break. You need a little rest. You need a way to get away from the hustle and bustle of life and to just laugh, to just enjoy life. And you know exactly how it is. When things happen that are funny that aren't happening to you and they happen to somebody else, you just laugh. You just enjoy it. Just go on about your day because it's not normal that what's happening in front of you, that what you're witnessing, it's not normal that's going to happen to anybody or many people. So you might as well enjoy this little comedic relief while you have it. And that's exactly how I feel when it comes to Chris getting rocked and Will Smith. Sports, we have all these big hits. We have all these things that have happened. There have been fights in the NBA, not so much anymore. Fights in hockey all the time. We love watching those. We loved watching the big hits that happened in the National Football League, in college football. We still talk about Jadeveon Clowney's hits in the Outback Bowl against Michigan. We still talk about that to this day. That was a long time ago. There are other big hits that we will talk about forever. Forever. Your boy. Yes, me. I got rocked one year playing football. My junior year, it was a sectional segment of the tournament, sectional round of the tournament. We beat Arlington High School, the first round of sectionals. The very next round, we had to play Warren Central, the Warren Central Warriors. They were the powerhouse in the state. They ran things. They put guys in at the D1 level consistently. They had the Under Armour sponsorship for the football team. They had a turf field before everybody else. They had stitched jerseys. They had their names on the back of their jerseys. They had red belts. That was a little bit different, a little way to stand out. And we were all looking at this team saying, we know who the better team is. We got to come out and play. Now, granted, you know how it is, human element. You kind of realize you're going to act a little bit different when you're playing a team that's better than you, at the track record of success that you guys don't have. And let me tell you, there was this play. I was on kickoff return, and there was this guy. I don't know who he was. I didn't really look at him in the scout sheet, but we lined up and we were running at each other all the time. And let me just tell you, Warren scored a lot, which means when Warren scores, I was on the field to return the ball for my squad. I was not returning the ball. I was more the frontline blocker. I was not that fast. If you try to ask anybody on my team if Jay had speed, they would absolutely say no, or they would laugh because it's so funny to think about Jay running fast at that time in my life. So me and this guy were going back and forth and hitting over and over and over and over and over. And all of a sudden, I got him. I hit him. And I think it was second or third quarter at this time. I hit him, and instead of just because he kept hitting me, annoying me, instead of just hitting him, letting him go to the ground, getting up. No, I hit him, laid on him, and pushed him to the ground. Like I literally pushed him to the ground with shoulder pads in both hands because I was getting kind of annoyed. I was like, "Bro, what are you doing?" Like, I get it. We're on opposite teams, but you're really annoying me. We heard the whistle. We broke it up. Went back to my sidelines. Literally, the very next time I was on the field was a kickoff return. Remember, I'm in the front line. Next thing I know, Warren kicks the ball off. We start running. This guy comes down, and he got me at the right time. He timed it perfectly. And I don't know if he had known like my timing and how quickly when I turned around, because I went back. I turned around. I got the right depth, and I turned around, and boom! That boy got me up off my feet. That decleater, I literally landed on my shoulders. Feet up in the air, landed on my shoulders. So instead of going back and going to the sidelines and standing next to my boys, I went to the sideline. I was a junior, stood next to some freshmen. Now I knew them, but I stood next to them because, I was trying to discreetly get off the field and not have everybody laugh at me at what happened. Jordan Ridley and I think it was Zach Moore. I was standing next to them, and they start laughing. They said, "Bro, what just happened? What just happened?" My dad, he recorded every game that year. I don't think he got tape of that game, and I'm glad he does not, because there would be a time or two somebody might put that thing in a digital form instead of the old school camcorder and handheld camcorder that people used to use to record games. And then people would be like, "Oh, Jay, this happened. Jay, this happened to you?" It did. It did. I got rocked. Chris got rocked. That was a comedy we all needed. And let me just tell you, if it happens again at an award show, I keep saying the BET Awards because there are times black folks act a fool. I'm just going to be honest with you. Sometimes we do those things. And if it happens at the BET Awards, you will not get the same response that you got at the Oscars. Primarily different demographic. But let me just tell you. You think the reaction at the Oscars was bad between Will Smith and Chris Rock, and Chris Rock did not fire and light up Will Smith with all the jokes that he could have gotten off? Let me just tell you, the BET Awards, that's a straight comedy. That's a comedic show, and I could not wait. I would love to see something like that happen at the BET Awards, because your boy will be able to come back on here once again, get behind the mic, and get these jokes off. One thing we can't get these jokes off about is what's going on right now down there in Tampa Bay. Nothing crazy. Nobody's getting fired. Nobody's fighting. No Antonio Brown nonsense on the field. Nobody taking their shirt off and dancing when they say they have an ankle injury to where they can't go into the game, but they can go ahead and dance and run off the field. I trust me. I've had some ankle injuries. I know some things. Nothing as severe as what Antonio Brown has had happen to him, but nothing of that realm or that level is happening right now down there in Tampa Bay. But about a little over a half week ago, there was a rumor, there was talk that Tom Brady wanted to be traded to the Miami Dolphins. Miami has Tua Tagovailoa. They just got Jalen Waddle, I do believe. They got Tyreek Hill. They got a new coach, Mike McDaniel, who looks very, very young. Not the youngest coach in the NFL. I haven't fact-checked all the ages. I do know Sean McVay is 3 years younger than Mike McDaniel, the new head coach in Miami. So he's not the youngest, but that boy, he looks young. But down in Tampa Bay, there was an announcement on Wednesday evening, shortly before recording this year podcast, that Bruce Arians was retiring from coaching, and moving to the front office. Think about this, though. Remember, I just said Tom Brady was being rumored that he was going to go and be traded to the Miami Dolphins. During the owners meeting, currently going on right now, not far from Miami in West Palm Beach, Mike McDaniel shot down the rumors and said there hasn't been any talk of the things that have happened. That's fake news. You know how rumors are. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he did use the phrase fake news when describing Tom Brady rumors and trade rumors of him going to Miami. Would it be a wise thing for Miami to bring in Tom Brady? Absolutely. But was it a ploy and a way for Tom Brady to get his way with who the head coach was going to be? Possibly. It possibly was. Bruce Arians moves to the front office. He does retire. I don't know if it was something where the owner said, hey, bro, look, you're either going to get fired or move up. You're not going to be the head coach of this team. We got Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, coaching and being here with us. Playing with us, not coaching, playing with us. We're not going to go ahead and have him here and then have you here and you guys butting heads and things like that. You got to figure it out. Do you want to be here? I move you up, keep you here, keep getting paid, or go on somewhere else. He ultimately moves up. I have not heard anything since Mike McDaniel said that those trade rumors were fake news to say Tom Brady still wants out of Tampa Bay. Interesting. Very interesting. But you also have Todd Bowles, who moves up and gets promoted from defensive coordinator to head coach to replace Bruce Arians. Remember the Brian Flores lawsuit against Miami where he was talking about the just things not being right and the way that he was viewed as a black coach was not proper and was not the way that he should be viewed, and the different things that he attacked the NFL, said about the NFL and the Dolphins and things of that nature. And there was an uproar. We don't have enough black coaches. We don't have, no, what even minority coaches. We don't have enough black coaches. And for the first time in a very long time, I've heard numerous people from different areas say the Rooney Rule, it's not going to fix the issue. It's not going to get the job done. And I got to say, bravo. Bravo. So on this podcast and other places, I have come out and said, I'm not ashamed to say it, the Rooney Rule is doing its job. It's getting you an opportunity, getting you a foot in the door to get an interview. That's all it's supposed to do. As a minority, that's not just black people. There are so many minorities in America. People keep saying Rooney Rule, black people. That's not who it's for. But people say the league is 70% black, and there's not that many black coaches, head coaches, or even position coaches, or D coordinators, or offensive coordinators. So the Rooney Rule is broken. Let me say it once again. The Rooney Rule ain't broken. It's doing its job. It's allowing you to get a foot in the door to get an interview. You have to kill said interview so that the people in charge that are interviewing you have no option but to put you in that spot. That's it. That's absolutely it. Todd Bowles gets promoted, and it was an instant thing that came out. Bruce Arians moves up to the front office, retires. Todd Bowles gets promoted. There was no ifs, no ands, no buts. Now, will the Buccaneers be asked, don't know if I said it correctly, if they're going to interview multiple candidates? Or will it just be hiring from within and they already know who they're going to be, who they're going to get? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'd be curious to see over the next few weeks and days if people come out and ask, did the Buccaneers interview multiple people, or was it almost a foregone conclusion who they were going to hire and it was someone from in-house? If it was a foregone conclusion, they already had this made up prior to, when Bruce Arians, they're working things out for him to move to the front office. I'm curious. I personally will not complain about this, but I'm curious if there will be people on television, on the radios, on podcasts saying the Buccaneers are wrong. Yeah, hiring from within is great, but you did not go through a due process to figure out if Todd Bowles is the right coach for you. Numerous teams around the National Football League, they go through this process so they don't get fined by the NFL to go ahead and go through this little to them, it's a waste of time because they're hiring people, they're interviewing people that they don't want to interview anyway because they already know who they're going to hire. We even saw Bill Belichick texting Brian Flores, and he congratulated Brian Flores thinking it was Brian Daboll who he was texting, the new Giants coach, and Bill Belichick ended up apologizing. He already had knowledge, but the Giants already basically had their coach lined up. They just kind of had to go through the motions to make sure what they did was proper and it followed league protocol. I'd be very curious if the Buccaneers will come out and say, we interviewed these people. Even though we already had this person in mind, this person lined up, we interviewed these people. I'm curious. First, I want to see if people are going to question them, because I don't think people will. I might put a tweet out on Twitter. Follow me at jsteven07 on the Bird app, and we'll have a good old time. But it's not just me. I'm curious if there will be a lot more people that will come out and say, well, Buccaneers, we're cool. We're glad you hired a black coach. But that due process, that due diligence, did you do that? Part of me says they did not. Could they get fined or get in trouble with the league? Probably not. Guys, fun show, another great show. You can follow me on Twitter, like I just said, at jstevens07. You can send all of your emails to jstevens317 at gmail.com. Make sure you follow and subscribe to the J Stevens Podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your fine podcasts. For all of you Spotify listeners and Apple Podcast listeners, make sure you leave a 5-star review and a rating. It's greatly appreciated. It's a free way to help the show grow. This has been episode 239 of the J Stevens Podcast. I will